Hey, Shalom Alaikum. This is Rakamak Pash from Jim Islami, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chakodash. I want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, preaching his truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video. And this one was inspired from Elder Apostle Ramlar's video, as you see on the screen here, no matter how you slice it, right? And you know, the elder, he posted, he played a clip that Elder Yeshua Wamba sent to him, you know, with these Genesis cats, you know, speaking about these Gentiles and, you know, because they teach the Gentiles can be saved, right? Because, you know, if they keep the commandments, you know, why wouldn't they be saved? Well, my question is, what heathen? Name me one heathen, just one. Name me one heathen that believes in this truth and that keeps the commandments, that they can be saved. You tell me that. Name me one heathen, right, that believes in this truth, right, and that keep the commandments. Because hell, we can't even keep the commandments 100%. So how the hell are these heathens keeping the commandments? What heathen are you talking about? What heathen believes in this truth that they could be saved? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then they're gonna pull, you know, maybe they'll pull things like, oh yeah, but Ruth, you know, she was a heathen and she's not. She believed in us. She believed that the Most High God was with us, right? Just for that situation, for that scenario, for instance, right? She did not know the Most High, right? These heathens don't know the Most High, right? They don't know him, right? Neither do they keep his commandments, right? So they don't believe and they don't keep the commandments. So again, name me one heathen that believes in the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, right? Believes in this truth, right? And keeps the commandments, right? Because ultimately you man mentioned these commandments, right? That you can't keep, that none of us can keep to the fullest, right? And you forget that this is based on belief, faith, those that believe, right? Yeah, well, actually, that's what I wanted. Let me grab this and then, right, just an example, right? John, First John. Where is it? I had it a second ago. Where'd it go? And I swear it was John. John chapter 1. No, let's have a look. Right, because this is all about belief, right? You know, this is not about keeping the commandments. Why you're going to be saved? We're not being saved by the law, right? Let me grab that, right? How's it going now? No, that's not it. There we go. It's Hebrews 7 verse 19, right? For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by which he drew nigh unto the Most High. Right? The law made nothing perfect, right? And so keeping the law isn't because you're not able to. Right? It's not what's going to save us, right? It's Yahweh Shai. Okay, the faith and belief in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai that is going to deliver us, right? We're not saved by the law. Okay. Also for John, right? I'm for sure it's John when I saw it in. You could just skim through this. Yeah, it was this one, right? It's John chapter 1 verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. Right? which is what we're being, or we're being changed to when Yahweh Shai returns, right? And being beamed up in the chariots, being saved, right? So as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, right? To believe, right? You have to believe in this truth, right? This is not about keeping the commandments, but like I mentioned, it doesn't even matter how you slice it, right? There's no heathen out there that keeps the commandments. There's no heathen out there that believes, right? The only people you're going to get from these different nations are the Israelite foreigners, the Israelite Gentiles. That is the only people that are going to be delivered, when Yahweh Shai returns, right? There is no heathen on this planet that keeps the commandments and that believes in this truth. It doesn't exist, right? So let's get into the core of the precepts that I had put together already, right? So this is from 2 Ezra chapter 4, verse 23, right? For it was not my mind, this is Ezra speaking, obviously, right? To be curious of the high things, but of such as pass by us daily. Namely, wherefore Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen, as we are to this day, right? We are a reproach among the heathen, the other nations, right? And for what cause the people who now has loved, the Israelites, is given over to ungodly nations. These other nations are ungodly. They worship idols. They do not believe. These nations have always known about our God, right? Ever since our Egypt, they've known about our God. But they do not believe in our God. The Most High is not their God. They have their own gods that they believe in, right? These nations are ungodly, okay? We've been given over unto ungodly nations. Hell, we've been an ungodly nation, right? Because we've left the ways of the Heavenly Father. We've been growing up on Jesus Christ and all this bullshit, right? The remembrance is being restored to us about who we are, who our power is, right? The Most High is not the power of the other nations. He's not their God. They have their idols, right? But the point here is these other nations who you saying could be saved are ungodly nations, ungodly people, right? And why the law of our forefathers is brought to naught and the written covenants come to none effect, right? They don't establish the laws of our forefathers. They don't have our laws. They got their own laws, right? Much like this world has its own laws, right? They don't uphold the laws of the scriptures. None of them do, right? It's 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse. I'm starting from verse 31, right? Hold on one sec. I'm gonna go and start from 28, right? It says, are there these then are there these then any better than inhabit Babylon, that they should therefore have dominion over Zion? For when I came hither, I had seen impieties without number. Then my soul saw many evildoers in this 13th year of what's that? No, 30th. Yeah, 30th year, so that my heart failed me. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning. Right? These other nations are sinners, man. They not that they're under the covenant, because we know they're not, but they commit evil, wicked acts that the Most High despises, right? Sin in our eyes, right? My soul saw many evildoers, and has spared the wicked doers, and has destroyed thy people, and has preserved thy enemies, and has not signified it. I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Sion? Right? We know the other nations are not better than the children of Israel, but right, because we went off, right? So the Lord has had to punish us, right? They're not better, but the Most High had to chastise us, man. And one of those ways of being chastised was have these nations put us into captivity, right? According to the curses in Deuteronomy, right? It's not that they're better. It's not that the Lord favors them. Because the Lord, even though he put them above us, never gave them the way. He never gave them law, statutes, and commandments to live by. Okay, they still lived after their own wickedness, after their own heathenistic ways, after their own gods, after their own laws. Right? These other nations, they don't follow the Most High, right? So, or is there any other people that knoweth thee beside Israel? These other nations do not know the Most High. They don't know Yahweh. Right? So how is it that they're going to keep the commandments and be delivered, or believe and be delivered? They don't know him. Only the elect of Israel know the Most High and his Son. Right? So, or is there any other people that knoweth thee beside Israel? Or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob? There is no others, right? It says, and yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor have no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. So weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there's also that dwell in the world, right? And so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel, right? And that is true to this day. That's why this whole world has got a different name for our God, right? Whether they just call him God, they don't have a name at all, right? Or they call him Yahweh, that's not his name, right? Or they got Jesus or Jeshua or Yeshua or whatever. They're not his names. The whole world has a different name for our God. They don't have the name of the Lord, right? So none of these nations, none of these heathens have got it, right? So I don't know what these guys are talking about. I don't know how you make sense of that, right? It says, or when, verse 35, or when was it that they which dwelled upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight, right? Or what people have so kept thy commandments? These other nations don't keep the commandments, right? Thou shalt find that Israel by name had kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. Nope, not the heathen. And I said, if the Lord wanted the nations to be saved, he would have given the law, statutes, commandments, right, to live by, to prove that they were better than Israel, or that they were worthy of being saved, or something. You know, some sort of olive branch the Most High would have handed to them. Like, here's my people couldn't do it, but maybe you can. You know, I'll give you the law, such commandments. If you believe and if you keep the commandments, maybe you could be saved in the day of judgment. No, the Lord never did all that. The Lord was simply punishing his people, okay, waiting for, the day, to set up Yahweh Shai to deliver the elect of Israel. You know what I mean? It's not this salvation is not for the other nations. Right? The Lord has never dealt with them, ever. Right? And so we're meant to believe that the Lord had to change of heart all of a sudden. Like I said, the only people that being delivered out of all these different nations are the Israelite foreigners, the Israelite Gentiles. Right? Because they had the capacity, they had the ability to believe. Right? They have the ability to, because the Most High is still in the children of Israel, in his elect. The nations, the actual heathen have no such thing. All right. Is Amos chapter 3, verse 2. It says, I'm going to stop from the top right here. The word that the Lord have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought out from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. He only, presented himself to the children of Israel. Gave us laws such as commandments, right? He made us. He made us his children. He ain't done that with nobody else, right? You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for your iniquities, right? Because we sinned against the Lord, we transgressed against him. Okay, broke the covenant, the contract, and so we were punished. The Lord never made no new contract with some other nation to see if they could do it better. Maybe some of you, in Elam, some of you in Edom, fuck no. So maybe some of you in Moab, maybe some of you, maybe you can get it right. Maybe you can be saved. The Lord never did that. The Lord never did that. Right? The truth is not for the heathen. Right? This is Baruch chapter 3 and verse 36. So he have found out all the way of knowledge. He's talking about the Most High. He's found all, he has all knowledge, right? He have found out all the way of knowledge and have given it unto Jacob his servant, right? So if he's going to let anybody know, it's going to be Jacob. It's going to be Israel, right? They're going to know what's up because he's going to let them know, So when it comes to this truth, guess what? This truth can only be found within the children of Israel. Now, yeah, there's an elect of Israel, and there's, the wicked of our people who ain't going to get this. But there's the elect of Israel that the Lord is, bestowing this knowledge upon. Right? It's not going to be given to no heathen. The knowledge of salvation, the knowledge of this truth. Right? The gift of faith. It's not going to be given to them. Right? He have found out all the way of knowledge and have given it unto Jacob his servant and to Israel his beloved. Right? That's it, right? That is it. And this is from Baruch chapter 5. Let me read from verse 5, right? 5 and 5. It says, Arise, O Jerusalem, and stand on high, and look about toward the east, and behold thy children gathered from the west unto the east by the word of the Holy One. Right? Only we receive this truth. So the word is searching for us. Okay, finding us out. Okay, and drawing us back to the Heavenly Father, right? This is and behold thy children gather from the west unto the east by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the remembrance of God. They've been given or been called back to remembrance. Okay, the Israelites, the elect. Okay, not being called out. No heathens are being called. Okay, this word is not meant to reach them. Right, but obviously there is Israelite foreigners, as we all are, right? All in these different lands, right, that we've been scattered amongst, right? That this word has to go and gather. Right, that is the mystery of the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners. That is the mystery. Right, these actual heathens don't have it, man. They don't have what is necessary or is required to be delivered, because the Lord never made no promises with them. The Lord never presented himself to them. Didn't make no promises, no covenants, no nothing concerning, the kingdom. Never happened. Right? This is about the Israelites returning. Okay? And that's all I want from that. Right? All right, so again, name me one heathen that believes or even keeps the commandments as you say. You're not going to find one. Right? Now, if you point at an individual that doesn't look like your typical Israelite, that's because he's really an Israelite. And that would be the mystery behind the Gentiles. Right? Because we just read about the word, right? Gathering the children, the Lord's children, who are Israelites, right? By the word, right? And so this is how we do things. This is how we search for the elect. It's not based upon appearance. It's not based on that language. It's not based upon all that stuff. It's based on the spirit, right? So if you've got an individual that looks like a heathen, but he gravitates into this word, right? He it's like a resonance that's taking place, that he accepts and believes, then he's not an Israelite. Sorry, slip of the tongue. He's not a heathen. Right? If they're vibing with these scriptures, he is not a heathen. Right? He is an Israelite. It just doesn't look like typically look like one. Right? So this is Romans 8, verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And that's what the word is for. To gather the children by the word. Right? We can't go based on appearance, because a lot of things have happened. A lot of time has passed. We've grown up in foreign lands. Right? Our appearance is being mixed with other nations. Right? So we're hard to tell sometimes by appearance. Not all of us can be easily noticed by looking. All right? And so we go through the spirit. Okay, we use this word, right, to draw you out, right, to be drawn, to draw you in, right? So again, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, right? So there's no heathen out there that can believe. Only an Israelite can believe, right? So if he believes, he's an Israelite by blood, by descendancy, not just, he's the real deal. Okay, he is a seed of our forefathers, man. Okay, yeah, he don't look like the proto-Israelite, but he is, So again, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, right? The Spirit does all the work. All right. If you, numbskulls can't understand that, and you think heathens can be saved, you're just, you're not really clued in, bro. You know what I'm saying? Right? You ain't really clued in at all. Right? And like I said, a lot of funny things are going on, in these other camps. So it's not surprising. These men are teaching these false doctrines, but we have to set the record straight. All right. These men are Israelites. Okay. Pardon me. It's Romans chapter 11, verse 7, right? What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it. Right? So even amongst all our people, because there's a lot of us scattered everywhere, right? Only the elect can receive this truth, this knowledge. Only the elect can believe. Right? As far as all that commandments, keeping the commandment stuff, you man talk about, ain't nobody's able to keep it 100%. Right? So you're gonna try and make these comparisons like there's some heathen out there keeping these commandments. It's not true. Like I said, name me one. All right? That's just simply not true. Right? It's like he's like creating a straw man. If there was such a person, the person doesn't exist. That heathen does not exist. Right? That keeps the commandments. So you're just talking out your ass. Right? But like I said, anybody you would point to that you would say, oh, he's a heathen, but he believes, he's not really a heathen. Okay, he's really an Israelite. Right? So again, what then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. He's nothing but a blind man, just like the rest of the wicked of our people. They're blind as hell, right? According as it is written, God have given them the spirit of slumber eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. And David saith, let their table be made a snare, and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be dark. So they can't handle these scriptures, man. Okay, them man are hemorrhaging, man. They're getting cut by, using these scriptures. They can't handle the scriptures, man. They don't have the understanding, right? And so these scriptures become a snare and a trap unto them, just like many others. They're wrestling with the scriptures, right, to their own destruction, right? Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather for their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, right? For to provoke them to jealousy, right? Those outside of Judea, the Israelites outside of Judea, because their man were obsessed about, or supposedly keeping the law, right? These men weren't keeping the law, right? But they obsessed about it, and went around acting like they kept the law. Same like today, funny enough, right? You see the similarities. Right, but it wasn't about those that were keeping the law. That's not who Yahushua picked. Yahushua didn't pick these highly esteemed men that knew all about the law, right? Because they were being hypocrites, right? Lord picked those that believed, So like, all right. So yeah, this is all a big ass stumbling block to them, right? And they can't see, all right? They don't understand. This is Isaiah 48, verse 12. Hearken unto me, O Jacob and Israel, my called. Right, the only people that are being called, that can receive the call and hear the call, are the children of Israel. Right, hearken unto me, O Jacob and Israel, my called. Right, I am he, I am the first, I am also the last. Right, so these heathen ain't getting no call. Right, ain't gonna hear no call. They ain't gonna respond to no call. Right, it simply ain't for them. All right. It's Ephesians 2 and 12. Let me read up a little bit. It's verse 11, right? Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh. This is speaking to the Israelites, right? Growing up in foreign lands, right? Under different customs, different languages, different attire, different appearances, right? Different religions. Man, come from, worshipping other gods and whatever, right? So therefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called a circumcision, right? So the circumcision are the Jews in Judea, we're calling those outside of Israel, growing up in these foreign lands, the uncircumcision, right? And there's a whole history behind that, which I ain't going to get into right now, but, brothers that know, or Israelites, supposed Israelites that study the scriptures know all about that, right? These were Israelite foreigners, man, growing up in foreign lands, right? And basically cast outs, outcasts, right? They were being called the uncircumcised by the circumcised. Okay, the Jews in Judea that were supposedly keeping all the commandments and the traditions and whatever. All right. Verse 12, that at that time you were without Yahushai, right? Being aliens from the Commonwealth. They were aliens. They were strangers, foreigners. They didn't know about this stuff. But when they heard the word, they believed it. They didn't know about all the promises and the covenants and the curses and the same things we didn't know about. We didn't know about them. We didn't know nothing about being an Israelite. We didn't know nothing about Israel. We didn't know nothing about the Lord and his true name and his intentions and all these things. We didn't know nothing about that. A lot of us knew about Jesus. Oh, he loves everybody. Don't go to hell. You know what I mean? All this sort of stupidness, right? We don't know nothing about the Lord in the scriptures, right? We don't know nothing, right? So we are these aliens, right? So that at that time you were without Yahushai, being aliens from the Commonwealth of Israel. We didn't know we was a part of this thing, right? And strangers from the covenants of promise. We didn't know we was part of no covenants. Same way these guys didn't know. And they were being brought in because they were being compelled by the word. They believed. It's not because they were keeping commandments. And yes, when they came in, what we didn't do, or what the men didn't do, was throw upon them the whole weight of the law, right? Because it was impossible for them man that grew up in it to keep, right? But they were asked to keep certain things, abstain from blood and things offered unto idols. These types of things, right? But it wasn't such a strong focus on keeping all the commandments. And this is why these camps are bugged out, like guys at IUIC, Genesis, and even the ISUPK, the man are talking about keeping the law. This is not what this is all about. Yeah, keep the law to your best ability is what we always tell you. But you can't keep them all, so it's like, don't get caught up with the fact that you can't keep the law 100% because that's not what's going to save you at the end of the day. Right? It's your belief and faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai that's going to save you. Right? And that is what the focus has to be about. Okay? It says, in that time you were out without Yahushai, being aliens from the Commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope. Like I said, before we come into the truth, we just thought the world was going to go on as it is, and ourselves and our people were just going to be in this condition that was never going to end because Esau's so strong and mighty, right? We was never going to get out underneath his rule and his system. You man can vote and protest to the cows come home, man. Nothing's going to change for you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. Nothing's going to change. As long as Esau's in power, nothing's going to change, right? So we've lived in a world without hope, right? Any real idea of salvation. Okay, but that's changed now. Because we know Yahweh Shai is coming to deliver his people from the hand of our enemies, right? So we're about to, be delivered out of this place. So we have hope now, right? And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. All right. But now in Yahweh Shai Mashiach, ye who sometimes were far off, right, in these different lands, are made nigh by the blood of Yahweh Shai. For he is our peace, who have made both one. Okay, the Jew and the Gentile, right? Again, these Gentiles being the Israelite foreigners, making the whole house of Israel one again. Right? Because we were broken up. We was a broken family. Okay, we were scattered and separated, and there was grudges and animosity, anger between the different tribes and different families and stuff like that. So he is for our peace, right? Who have made both one and have broken down the middle wall of partition between us. Because again, that's all part of the curses that came upon us. We was broken up. And we looked at each other as enemies and strangers and whatever. That's all part of the curses. So having abolished in his flesh the enmity, right, the anger, right, the hatred, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby, and came and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them that were nigh. For through him we both have access by one Spirit unto the Father, because we're all the same. We're the same family. Right? We're the same family, and that's why the access is there. Again, not something that is, extended to the heathen. Right? Let's see. It's Psalms 147 verse 19. And it says here, he sheweth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgment unto Israel. Right? He have not dealt so with any nation. So how are they going to keep the commandments? How are they going to believe? The Lord hasn't given them these things. Oh, what, because they got a Bible in their house? That don't mean shit. There's a whole bunch of fucking Israelites that got Bibles in their house, don't understand shit. Don't keep the commandments, don't believe. What difference does that make? Like I said, anybody that truly believes in these scriptures and wants to keep the commandments and all that type of thing, they're an Israelite. No matter what it is they're looking like, how they're talking, or whatever the case may be, these men are really Israelites. It can only be for an Israelite. So the simple deduction is that this guy must be an Israelite. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know for sure, because it's not like we got fucking birth records as well to link us back to the forefathers, to the patriarchs. We ain't got that either. But you man are caught up on looks, caught up on certain mannerisms or whatever the case may be. But the truth is, whoever is resonating with these scriptures is an Israelite. Not just by the spirit, not just in spirit, but by blood also. Right? So it's not that they're heathens because they look different or whatever. They are actually Israelites. So like I said, there's not one heathen. Not one. And you can't name me one that's going to be delivered because they believe or they keep the commandments. You can't name me one. There's a whole bunch of bullshit that you man are talking about. Genesis. So again, he have not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. You don't know. They don't fucking know. These heathens don't know shit. They're going to know. They're going to find out when they get put into slavery. Right? And guess what? They're going to be keeping the commandments then. But they ain't going to be taking that a fucking servitude. I'll tell you that. You man are going to understand everything. You're going to believe in the Most High. You're going to know the commandments. You're going to know all of that. You're going to know the law, statute, command. They're going to know all of that, man. But that doesn't change their station. Their man are still going to be in servitude under Israel because they're not Israelites. As simple as that, really. You know? So again, he have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known him. Praise ye the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. Yeah, praise Yahweh, man. You know? It's not for them, man. It's for us. All right? Do I have one more? What's this one saying? Why have I put this scripture here? Oh yeah, that's why. Okay. Right, so yes, Acts chapter 2, verse 21. Right? And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved, right? Christians like to use this one a lot too. Right? There isn't going to be a heathen that's going to call upon the name. Right? It's not happening, right? Ye men of Israel. This is who it's addressed to. It's not just, that's not like, if you left the 22nd verse out, it makes it sound like it's an open thing, like anybody can do this, right? But it's addressed in the 22nd verse, it's addressed to who that is. Who can do that? Who can actually call upon the Lord? It's not just anybody. The heathen, what does the scripture say? The name of the Lord is terrible amongst the heathen. So yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do that. I don't know how they're gonna do that. But yeah, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Right? Because they believe, right? It's not because they were keeping the commandments 100% or nothing like that. It's because they believed. They believe in, because even just believing in the name is faith. Because hey, there's nothing that's there to say that that's how the Lord's name is spoken. There's no records. All we got is the Tetragrammaton. That's all we got to go by. By faith we have the name. Right? So even just to believe in that is faith. So yeah, whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved, right? Through belief, right? Ye men of Israel, that's who it's addressed to. Hear these words. These words are for you to hear, for you to act upon, right? Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yahushua of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Him being delivered and by the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of God, ye have taken and by wicked hands have crucified and slain. Right? Because our people gave him up. Right? Despite seeing all the miracles that the Lord was doing. And there were men among those that called for the Lord's death that was of the elect. Right? There's something else I want to get into that video in that thing. I'm gonna do that in another video though, because these men talk about, you're saying that, you'd rather have an Israelite that's, committing, so-called crimes of this world, right? But a heathen that believes and keeps the commandments or whatever, you'd rather have an Israelite that's a criminal basically in their eyes, right? Because I'm gonna get into that as well, but in another video, right? You'd rather have that dude than a heathen that keeps the commandments. It's not even about that, and this is the thing, right? They're members of the elect that have shady lives, man. That have had shady lives back, in the past. They've done things bad things, right? And because they're of the elect, right, the Lord has mercy upon them, right? And that's something that you guys can't seem to discern and don't seem to have. You don't have that same level of mercy as the Most High has, and we don't expect you to, because you're men of the world, right? But that's another video that I want to, Lord willing, get into. They're talking about rapists and stuff like that. But let's just be honest. If they're not of the elect, they're not going to be there anyway. You know what I'm saying? So whether a man has done this or that or anything, it doesn't matter. If he's of the elect, he's going to be there. If he's not of the elect, he's not going to be there. So whatever the man did or didn't do is irrelevant in that moment in time, because he's of the elect. Right? And he is now righteous. wholly and completely. Right? And you know, we can read, you know, the stories, man, of men of the Lord that have done some bad things and make some poor decisions, man. You know, but they're still members of the elect, regardless. So, you know, you can point fingers and play the blame game, and you know, this man don't deserve to be saved and all this and that the third. But ultimately, it's not down to you. It's not down to you, fuckers, man. Right? It ain't down to you who's on the chariot, who ain't. All right, it's the Lord's mercy that's got them there. No one gives a shit what you got to say. But that'll be for another video. But yeah, but Lord willing, I'll get that one done soon. But yeah, on this case, yeah, there's no heathen, man. I said, name me one heathen, man. That can that keeps the commandments or that believes in this truth. You're gonna find that there's none. There's zero. Answer to the quick answer is zero, right? The only people that you're gonna look at in this world right now that you can say, oh, he believes though, they're not heathens. Okay, they're Israelites. Right? And like I said, there's a big difference between, you know, certain characters, you know, that got leniency or mercy from the Israelites, right? Because they sided with them. There's a difference between, you know, believing in the Israelites and the God that, you know, God's with them, and you know, believing on God himself and keeping his commandments and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, people that lived around us, yeah, they had to keep the law. Duh. Because otherwise they'd be breaking the law. And so they'd be punished according to the law. Just like we live here, we have to submit ourselves to the law. It doesn't mean, you know, that we're out of captivity. It's dumb. You know, so the people that lived around us, these other nations that lived around us, yeah, of course they had to keep the law. It doesn't mean shit. You know? Some people we gave a pass to. Yeah, some people we didn't. Simple as that, isn't it? But it didn't make them part of us. You know? They were still heathens. Right? But anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Lord willing, this has been edifying. And I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.